Meeting between U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden has wrapped up at the White House. A 90-minute meeting, a lot to break down there. But let's begin tonight with the FBI search of the president's vacation home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware today. The president's personal attorney said no documents with classified markings were found during the search. The attorney said the search was done with the president's, quote, full support and cooperation. Today was also the first day on the job for new special counsel Robert Hur of Maryland, who's investigating the Biden documents controversy. And this search comes on the same day U.S. House Speaker McCarthy met with the president at the White House for that highly anticipated meeting on the country's debt ceiling. For more on all this and a lot more, we start with Ed O'Keefe and Nikole Killion, who join us. Ed is CBS News senior White House and political correspondent, and Nikole, CBS News congressional correspondent. Let's get to it. A lot to do today. Ed, let's start with the search at the Rehoboth Beach home. What are you hearing from the White House and from the president's advisors?
Lasted about 3.5 hours or so at the Rehoboth Beach home of the Bidens. This is their vacation home in that beachfront town, a favorite of the First Lady that they purchased back in 2017. The FBI was there under written agreement with the president's personal attorneys, and we were told no White House officials were present for today's search. They left with no classified documents, according to the president's attorney. But the FBI did take some other materials for further review, consistent with what they did at the president's primary residence in Wilmington, Delaware, a few weeks ago. Here at the White House, they're less concerned with the legality and the details of the investigation, instead focus more on the politics of this, reminding the American public yet again the president is cooperating and has been since November, a contrast, of course, with the former president, and something that this White House is mighty proud of having emphasized because they now have public opinion polling that shows most Americans agree the president is cooperating with this investigation, even as they disapprove of the fact that it happened at all.
Before we move on to other things, Ed, can you characterize how much time he spends at Rehoboth Beach? You know, it's a vacation city. It's a vacation home for him. Is this a place he commonly visits off-season?
Yes, actually. He's for a beach house. They do go there more than many people who own a beach house might, just given the proximity and the fact that, they've got some government aircraft they can use to get there. I'd say every about, 5 to 6 weeks, either he or the First Lady is spending time there in the off-season. And in the summer, they spent a fair amount of time there. They spend less time there, though, at the height of the beach season, simply because where the house is located is not actually on the shore. It's on it's in a neighborhood off of a main drag, and so it's harder for the Secret Service essentially to move them around. But Wilmington certainly is where they spend almost every other weekend, and this one is definitely in the mix between Camp David, Wilmington, and Rehoboth. He's there pretty frequently.
Well, as the FBI returned from this search in Rehoboth Beach, the president was meeting with the speaker to talk about the debt ceiling. Nikole, this was eagerly anticipated. What's the latest state of play on debt ceiling from the speaker or other members of Congress?
Well, it was very interesting because the speaker said that he had a good conversation with the president, that they talked for an hour, which is notable. At least it sounds like both sides got their opinions on the table, and McCarthy said that he looks forward to continuing that discussion. Now, what exactly came out of the discussion still remains to be seen. The speaker, again, continued to deflect questions about what, if anything, Republicans would cut, because, as you know, many Republicans are calling for spending reforms or spending cuts if the debt ceiling is raised. They don't want to do a clean vote on that, up or down. So every time the speaker has presented that with that question, he has not necessarily presented a direct answer, but often talks about just trying to eliminate waste and abuse. He has hinted in previous interviews, including with our Margaret Brennan, that defense could potentially be on the table, that there could be some room for cuts there if there's wasteful spending. But he's also talked a lot about discretionary spending, which is what we've also heard from many Republicans. Still, Democrats continue to ask, where is the Republican plan? So I imagine this will continue to be a pressing question going forward if, in fact, these talks do continue.
We did hear him use those phrases you hear early in a Washington standoff. Good conversation. We're going to find common ground. We're going to keep this going. Let's see if the acrimony ratchets up as we get closer to the deadline.
And notable, too, that he said, they don't want to be up against the clock on this, and hopefully they can find a solution sooner rather than later. So, again, we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Speaker McCarthy is juggling today as well, also dealing with some action on the House floor, including with committee assignments for Democrats. Explain where that is.
Yeah, so, of course, actually both chambers are still in organizing mode. Some committees have been stood up, others have not. In the case of the House, of course, we know just yesterday there was a situation involving Congressman Santos where he recused himself from two committees. But there's also this situation involving Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who is from Minnesota, who has sat on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And so there has been a move to remove her from that committee. House Republicans are expected to put forward a resolution at some point. They are waiting for Democrats to officially name her to the panel first before they can move forward with that vote. But I did speak to Ranking Member Gregory Meeks earlier today about this, and here's what he had to say about the process.
I can tell you this, that the Democrats are united behind Ilhan Omar remaining on this committee, and I know I am, as the ranking member and former chair of this committee, is focused on trying to make sure that she continues on the committee because she's been very active and brings a lot of thought to the committee. Don't agree with everything that she says, but there's a lot of people in Congress I don't agree with. But that should not be grounds of removing her from the committee.
So as you can see, there are Democrats pretty firmly behind Ilhan Omar staying on the committee. The question is whether or not Republicans have the votes to actually remove her. And one interesting thing, too, that the congressman said is that this is really impeding their work. They can't stand this committee up until this situation gets resolved. So, he said, for instance, when it comes to classified briefings on issues, international issues, he can't get them right now because of all of this. So, unfortunately, the committee hasn't had an opportunity to get to its work, but there's hope that potentially this vote will move forward tomorrow in some capacity.
The committee's just trying to get out of the gates right now, and at a pretty sensitive time for U.S. foreign affairs. That committee wants to stand up. Ed, have you gotten a sense of where the relationship is at this moment in time between the president, between the White House, and a Kevin McCarthy or the House Republican Conference? Can you get a read on it yet?
A few things on this. First of all, if it's a good meeting, it will go longer than an hour. Part of the reason they had to wrap was that the president's about to hold an event thanking his chief of staff for 2 years of service and decades of service to the Biden cause. Ron Klain's on his way out by next week, and Jeff Zients is on his way in. It was supposed to begin at the top of the hour. But if it was going really well, they would have held off on that, right? So maybe this is just a first round of talks, and we'll see where it goes. Remember, these two used to spend time together on a semi-regular basis when Biden was vice president and when McCarthy was House Majority Leader. He would have him over to the vice president's residence every so often for breakfast. Sometimes McCarthy would bring other Republicans with him so that they could talk to the vice president. This was part of his role then as the number two to deal with legislative outreach and negotiating. And so they went into this meeting today not total strangers, but certainly two people who hadn't spent much time together in recent years, in part because the political dynamic didn't require them to be the two cutting deals. But the fact that the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, who has been a longtime Biden collaborator on issues especially of a fiscal nature, the fact that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries weren't involved, who are, of course, like-minded and close Democrats to the president, is all of them saying, you two need to sort this out because it's the House Republican majority that's ultimately going to determine how quickly or how ugly this debt limit increase can be. And so that's why, at least today, this meeting commenced, and we'll wait and hear, since it just broke up a few minutes ago, who here at the White House continues talking to the Speaker's team, what does the Speaker go back and tell his caucus, and where does this head, again, with the goal, according to the Treasury Secretary, being early June to get this done.
That relationship defines so much. Ed O'Keefe, Nikole Killion,
Sure
good work.
will.
Back to it. Thank you very much.